The ground beneath Yellowstone National Park is crossing an extreme threshold of activity. Over recent months, instruments recorded more than 1,000 underground tremors, and recently what scientists feared for decades occurred. A hydrothermal explosion 200 meters high forced the world's leading volcanologists to urgently convene an international conference. A magma chamber the size of a metropolis is demonstrating abnormal activity. NASA satellite data recorded a 7 cm rise in the caldera's surface in just 1 year, 3 times above the critical norm. Animals are massively leaving the park's territory. And last summer, a new thermal vent opened that's ejecting steam and gas. American geologists discovered that basaltic masses began moving toward the caldera's northeastern part, an area previously considered stable. What's happening now inside the planet's most dangerous volcano? How do scientists comment on latest data from this place? And when should we finally expect this volcano's awakening, or has it already begun? Imagine a place where columns of boiling water burst from underground. The air constantly hangs with the smell of sulfur. A place Native Americans called the land of water and smoke. This is Yellowstone National Park, the world's first park, which sprawls across 3 American states: Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. But beautiful landscapes and unique ecosystem are only the outer shell. Beneath this natural paradise's surface hides one of the most dangerous objects on our planet. Yellowstone isn't just a park, it's a supervolcano. And unlike ordinary volcanoes, we're used to seeing in cone-shaped mountain form, a supervolcano is a huge depression in the ground, a caldera. Almost half the park's territory is located in this sleeping giant's caldera, but the word sleeping here is conditional. Yellowstone never truly sleeps. An ordinary volcano accumulates magma inside a mountain until it begins emerging to the surface. With a supervolcano, the process is completely different. When magma rises from Earth's depths, it accumulates in a huge underground reservoir. There, it melts surrounding rocks, becomes thicker, and pressure continues building. This can continue for hundreds of thousands of years until accumulated energy bursts out in a catastrophic explosion. According to recent research, this underground reservoir's size is much larger than previously thought. This magma chamber has dimensions of approximately 30 kilometers and can hold about 300 billion cubic kilometers of molten rock. The Yellowstone supervolcano erupted on a large scale 3 times. The first eruption occurred slightly over 2 million years ago. The explosion destroyed mountains and ash covered more than a quarter of the continent. The second eruption happened about 1.3 million years ago. It was somewhat weaker, but no less catastrophic. The third, most recent, occurred approximately 64,000 years ago, forming a huge circular depression with a 150-kilometer circumference and giving the supervolcano its modern appearance. If we look at the eruption cycle, we notice an alarming pattern. They occur approximately every 6,000, 7,000 years. And this means the next eruption is theoretically already overdue. But there's good news too. Volcanoes are unpredictable creatures, and their eruption periodicity doesn't lend itself to precise forecasting. As U.S. Geological Survey specialists say, volcanoes don't work on a schedule. Nevertheless, some alarming signs make scientists panic. And recent studies show changes occurring beneath Yellowstone's surface that we can't ignore. In July 2024, an event occurred on Yellowstone's territory that made scientists alert. An ejection of hydrothermal rock fragments to heights up to 200 meters. Although specialists hasten to note such events are part of the region's natural activity, the incident again actualized discussions about volcanic activity, resumption, probability. 2025 studies show magma beneath Yellowstone doesn't just exist, it's moving. A group of American geologists from a local university discovered magma accumulations began shifting toward the park's poorly studied northeastern part. What's especially alarming, approximately as much magma has accumulated in this region today as before the major eruption 1.3 million years ago. Researchers managed to discover 7 large magma reservoirs, part of which are actively filling with rock from the rhyolite class, capable of spawning powerful explosive eruptions. Another alarming signal was the behavior of the world's largest geyser, called Steamboat. In the first half of the 20th century, It showed no activity at all. It began erupting in 1991, throwing a hot water fountain 90-meter high. Then eruptions went episodically, and in recent years, their numbers sharply increased. If in 2018 Steamboat launched a jet into the sky 32 times, then in 2019 already 47 times. The fountain's force also increased. Now, water rises to heights over 100 meters. In the region alone, more than 2,000 earthquakes were registered, the largest reaching magnitude 4 in the West Yellowstone area. For comparison, the strongest earthquake in this region occurred in 1975 and had magnitude 6. One of the most worrying signs for scientists is Earth's surface rise in the caldera area. Researchers studying magma movement in Yellowstone Park discovered some land areas rose 74 centimeters compared to 1923. Satellites recorded soil rose 7 centimeters in 2024 alone. This may indicate the large magma focus below began gaining mass and expanding. Researchers also drew attention to unusual phenomena in the Yellowstone area. During observational scientific flights over North America, a mysterious magnetic anomaly was discovered in the supervolcano area. It was first recorded from satellite, then aviation was sent to study magnetic disturbances. From obtained data, scientists calculated that anomalies connected to Earth's magnetic field caused a swarm of powerful earthquakes in Yellowstone and Alaska. A swarm is a series of earthquakes occurring over several weeks or months without clear sequence, unlike traditional earthquakes when there's a main event followed by a series of aftershocks. Some observers also drew attention to animal behavior. Recently appearing video of bison fleeing Yellowstone National Park caused people concern. Usually before eruption, animals leave dangerous places. And this video was made 10 days before another earthquake. If the Yellowstone supervolcano does wake up, consequences will be truly catastrophic. According to modeling conducted by the U.S. Geological Survey, the eruption will be comparable to exploding 1,000 atomic bombs. This will form a huge crater about 50 kilometers in diameter, and more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of magma will spill out. For comparison, Mount Tambora volcano, whose 1815 eruption became one of the strongest in observation history, ejected only 180 cubic kilometers of material. In the eruption's first minutes, everything living within 500-kilometer radius will be destroyed in the USA, and 90% of life within 1,500-kilometer radius. The entire U.S. West Coast will turn into a dead zone, buried under a 1.5-meter layer of ash. The supervolcano's main mass of emissions isn't flowing lava, but clouds of incandescent gases and ash from fine glassy particles. They represent the main threat to all living things. Ash will cover most of North America with a layer up to 30 centimeters. For several days it will be in the air, causing breathing difficulties, enveloping plants, and contaminating water. The earthquake accompanying Yellowstone's eruption will provoke activation of several hundred volcanoes across Earth. They'll spawn many tsunamis that will wash away all cities on Pacific and Atlantic coasts. A day after eruption begins, acid rains will start falling in the USA, destroying almost all vegetation. The ozone hole will expand, also killing all life with ultraviolet radiation. But this is only the beginning of global catastrophe. After a month, clouds of ash and soot will close all Earth from the sun. A period will begin that scientists call volcanic winter. Sharp cooling by 10-20 degrees will disable gas and oil pipelines, railroads, and power lines. But densely populated regions of India and China will suffer most. There, up to 1.5 billion people could die from hunger in the first months. Volcanic winter will last at least 4 years. Throughout a whole century, humanity will be forced to adapt to new existence conditions, essentially rolling back to medieval technological level. Some experts believe South Siberia may suffer least from the cataclysm, but everything's not so simple. 252 million years ago, a lava flood occurred in Siberia, and this event is considered the cause of the most global extinction in life's history on Earth, the famous Permian extinction. Then volcanic matter enveloped the planet in a shroud that blocked sunlight. Earth became dark and cold. Volcanic winter arrived. Yellowstone's eruption probably won't lead to such monstrous consequences, but catastrophes of continental scale can quite be expected. According to some geologists, the existence of the United States and Canada will be strongly in question, and Americans will have to relocate lower, south of Mexico. But it's worth noting, Yellowstone supervolcano's eruption isn't a one-second event. It could continue for several weeks or even months, and even in case of activity beginning, people will have some time for evacuation. Geologists will be able to notice precursors of a major eruption, days or even weeks before catastrophe. However, not all scientists share such apocalyptic forecasts. Some believe eruption consequences could be far less dramatic. Much depends on the specific scenario. What volume of magma will be ejected, how much ash rises into the atmosphere, and how long the eruption will continue. Recently, specialists installed over 100 sensors on Yellowstone Park territory to create the first detailed map of magma reservoirs and observe its movements in upper and lower crust layers. JOICE Air Series satellites collect information about temperature and sea surface in the Atlantic Ocean and allow tracking thermal anomalies on the park's surface, while magnetic sounding systems help see what's happening deep underground. But observation alone isn't enough. Scientists are actively seeking ways to prevent catastrophic eruption, or at least reduce its destructive force. And here the boldest and even fantastic ideas are born. In 2018, NASA specialists proposed drilling a well 10 kilometers deep in the caldera. Water flowing through it would cool magma, and steam could be used for a geothermal power plant. The plan would not only help prevent eruption, but also provide the USA with cheap energy. However, drilling to such depth itself is an extremely complex and expensive technology. The project's cost is estimated at nearly $3.5 billion, but most importantly, it's very risky. The cap above the magma chamber could become more brittle and prone to cracks. Another potential way to protect from super eruption is helping the supervolcano release tension through controlled detonation. For this, something could be exploded at 3 to 5 kilometers depth. People have already learned to do this quite well. Careful drilling from the magma chamber's lower sides could be a way out, but it would be an agonizingly slow process proceeding at 1 N per year speed. Incidentally, using geothermal energy in Yellowstone National Park is currently officially prohibited by U.S. congressional law. Actually, many are interested in the key question: what are the chances Yellowstone supervolcano will erupt in the foreseeable future? Specialists' opinions are divided. Some believe the system is currently in equilibrium, and the volcano won't wake up in coming decades or even centuries. Others believe eruption is possible at any moment, since the cycle between major events has already ended. Geology professor Bill McGuire, constantly conducting observations over the park's territory, assesses the situation more pessimistically. According to him, America lives literally on a powder keg. Satellite images and Earth's crust movements indicate active processes are occurring deep in the depths. There are other signs it may wake up. In the magma focus, part of the substance has solid form, and part is molten. The higher the liquid magma's share, the more likely the coming eruption. According to geologists' estimates, Yellowstone will be ready for eruption when 35–50% of mass is in liquid state. Until recently, it was believed this indicator in Yellowstone's magma focus is currently 5 to 15%. However, a 2022 study revealed different data, 16 to 20%. However, this doesn't necessarily mean molten magma quantity is increasing. Simply more advanced scientific methods and instruments allow clarifying information. Fortunately, there were also encouraging moments in Yellowstone observation history. The strongest earthquake in this region occurred in 1975 and had magnitude 6. Despite underground tremors' force, damage was insignificant. There were no casualties, and most importantly, volcanic eruption didn't follow. This indicates the volcanic system possesses certain resistance to seismic impacts. Yellowstone isn't the only supervolcano on our planet. After its discovery, scientists identified several more similar geological structures. Today, about 20 supervolcanoes are known, most located in North and South America. The Toba supervolcano on Sumatra Island in Indonesia is considered especially dangerous. Its last eruption led to volcanic winter that blocked sunlight for 6 to 10 years and caused cooling by several degrees. According to some hypotheses, human population then decreased to 31,000 individuals, leading to significant decrease in our species' genetic diversity. what can become the trigger for supervolcano eruption. Among possible triggers, scientists name major earthquakes, asteroid falls, and also natural geological processes such as gas filling and pressure increase in the magma chamber. Paradoxically, human activity can also influence eruption probability. Some specialists fear geothermal energy source development in the Yellowstone area could disturb the fragile equilibrium of underground forces. That's precisely why any well drilling work in the park is legislatively prohibited. And while this giant slumbers, millions of tourists continue admiring amazing geysers, hot springs, and unique nature of Yellowstone National Park, perhaps not even suspecting that beneath their feet hides one of the most powerful destructive forces on our planet. That's all for now. Subscribe to the channel and leave your comments on this video. It's very important to us.